Assalamu alaikum guys, in this video we'll talk about numbers utility class which has been added in the previous version or Laravel 10.32. So let's start. This utility is good for number formatting, conversions, percentage, and also formatting the file sizes here. But instead of reading the documentation, I will show it directly from the code. And here is the new class that has been added by Laravel under Illuminate support. We use number, and as we can see here, it's a helper actually, something like this. And now let's start with the first method inside this helper, which is format, for formatting a number, maybe by adding commas instead of dots, or also depending on locally. So here in our PHP Tinker, I run it by the way, PHP Artisan Tinker, I will say number. For this method, all methods are static, by the way. I will say format, right? 100, it's normal. 1000, as we can see here, it's added it automatically, right? This comma. But in some countries, they use dots, right? Like this. So we can say locally, by the default, it's English. We can say Dutch as a string. And in Deutschland, they use point, maybe tr. Also they use a point here, and also parameter here for precisions for rounding numbers. So if I say number format and it's 100.345, right? And I will say second parameter precision, 2 numbers. As we can see here, we have 3 numbers, 4 numbers, adds also zeros if the number is greater than the count of numbers after point, right? What if we add 6 here and 2? As we can see, it becomes 35. Let's move to the next method, which is spell, for spelling numbers in a defined language. But if you notice here inside the spell method, we have a method here to ensure that this PHP extension and the extension has been installed on your machine or not. So it must be installed for using this method, spell method here. And if we use it, let's try number spell 10, it write it 10,000, for example 23, 2023, right? And also it takes another parameter for different locally by using number formatter here. So we can say, for example, in English by default, in French we have this string here, in Turkish we have it here, be Japanese, it doesn't exist, so the default value here, the fallback English, right, if it doesn't exist. Let's move to the next one, which is ordinal, for showing first, second, and so on. And if we use it, ordinal, for example, first, here, second, third, and so on, tenth, for example, for adding ordinal characters here, right? And the next one is percentage, for showing the equivalent percentage as a string. So let's check it, number, and if I say percentage 10, by default it adds 10 and then symbol here, also 100, okay, and it takes also precision like in the format. So if I add 10 point this number here, and precision will be 2, right? And also according to locally, it puts this symbol. So for example, I will say DE as locally, its name is a parameter. It has been completely formatted by adding space here according to Deutschland, and also instead of point they added comma, right? And for example, in Turkish standard, the percentage comes before, symbol comes before the number, separated by comma, not dots. Now let's continue and using the currency for formatting for currencies. And if we open it here, clear number currency 2 or 20, by default the string in here currency is USD, so the USD comes here. But if we added euro, for example, it doesn't matter by the way, capital or small, it works also. Let's continue with locally as a third parameter. It's in English, but for Dutch, symbol comes in the end before it has a white space, and also for Turkish, and also we can change the currency here to Turkish lira as an example, right? And it's completely formatted. After that, we have the file size for showing file size according to number of bytes here. So if I added here file size 20 byte by default, right? Has precisions and max precisions also. But if I add 2000 divided by 1000, now we have kilobyte, right? It's kilobyte. If we have, for example, 200,000, still kilobyte, right? And also, if we have 2 million, now it's converted to 2 megabyte, right? And continue and so on and so on. Now 19 gigabyte, and it will be calculated until YB. And the last thing here is for human, for showing a number for humans like carbon methods. So if I say here for humans, okay, 20 billion, right? Here's 2 million and 20,000. It's a great class actually, and don't forget it's macroable, so you can implement your own method or your own logic in app service provider or any service provider that you want inside. Put here, for example, like this, I want to implement my own macroable method or macro method using this number class here, and I will say macro, and my method name will be count for counting the numbers that has in this parameter here, maybe. Okay, and I will say function and the value here that will take. Then I will return strlen of value. Now I will try it. Number count 1, 2, 3, and it's 3, right? Anything here, and it counts the numbers that I implemented using macro